Terima kasih, Datuk Speaker. Selamat petang, salam sejahtera dan salam Sarawakku sayang. First of all, I wish to record my deep appreciation to Tuan Yang Terutama Yang Pertuan Negeri Sarawak for opening this 19th session of the Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. I would like to congratulate the Right Honourable Premier for the resounding victory of the Gabungan Parti Sarawak by winning 76 out of 82 seats during the last general election, and for the formation of the government and cabinet. I would like also to convey my gratitude to the Right Honourable Premier for my appointment as Minister in the Premier's Department. I also like to convey my thanks and appreciation to all in Dun and 60 Kakus for their trust and confidence in me to continue to represent them for the 7th time in this Dewan Undangan Negeri. May our present stable and harmonious social and political environment continue to prevail under the guidance and stewardship of the Right Honourable Premier. I am truly honoured to be given the opportunity to deliver my maiden speech, winding up speech as Minister in the Premier's Department in charge of Native Affairs, Laws and Customs, including Native Codes and other matters assigned. The assignment of these very important portfolios on myself indicate the high recognition by the government on Native Codes and other. The present GPS government has never and will never waver in its effort to recognize and support this long-establishment institution in our beloved Sarawak. Thank you to honourable members of this House who have raised issues and questions to the Premier's Department under my portfolio. Tuan Speaker, now I would like to enlighten members of this august House on the affairs of the Native Code Sarawak. The native legal system has been established since time immemorial, but the current form was formalized by Sir Raja Charles Brooke through the General Order on the 11th October 1870. The Native Code Sarawak is part of the plural legal systems in Malaysia enshrined in the Federal Constitution under the 9th Schedule, List 2A, Item 13. The Native Codes Ordinance 1992 and the Native Codes Rules 1993, currently in use in consolidation in various Raja's order and ordinance enforced during Raja reign, colonial period, and post-independent era. The establishment of the Office of the Chief Registrar, Native Code Sarawak, on the 1st June 1993 was a significant step into the transformation of the Native Code Sarawak. This year, 2022, marks the 29th year of its operation. In its current organizational structure, the Native Code Sarawak is a unit under Premier's Department. The Chief Registrar, Native Code Sarawak, supervises all gazetted 66 Native Codes registries throughout Sarawak, with the cooperation and collaboration from all residents and district officers, the community leaders and headmen, and the application of the e-Native system, e-code system at all the Native Code registries throughout Sarawak. The administration of the Native Codes have progressed fairly. Currently, the overall numbers of presiding officers serving the Native Codes are about 7,000. This comprise of President, Native Court of Appeal, ex officio magistrate, which are comprising of all the divisional resident and all district officers, 19 residents and district Native Court contract magistrate, some Sarawak administrative officers who are conferred with second-class magistrate, Chief Superior Court Presiding Officers comprising of Temenggung and Pemancar, Chief Court Presiding Officers comprising of Penggulu and the Hitman Codes presiding officers comprising of Tua Rumah and Tua Kampung. As of 12 May 2022, the total number of registered cases are 15,954 cases, out of which 10,025 cases have been resolved, comprising NCR land disputes between natives, breaches of native laws and customs, and application by non-native to be identified with a native community. This achievement is equivalent to 62.8%. The Native Code Sarawak continues to strive for further excellence in its continuous effort and commitment to settle and reduce the number of backlog cases, implementing balanced scorecard in the beginning of 2022 by focusing and concentrating on resettlement of cases involved in CR land disputes and land compensation as its main key performance indicator or objective. The settlement of these cases have tremendously contributed to the unity and harmony amongst native communities in Sarawak. In this regard, I must congratulate the Chief Registrar of Native Code Sarawak and his staff, resident district officers, community leaders, and headmen for their success in dispensing native cases under their respective jurisdiction. Now, I would like to share with the members of this August House on the effort by the state government to elevate Native Code Sarawak into an independent judicial system equivalent to the Sharia and civil codes. Prior to the transformation, a comprehensive study was required to comply with the government directive to determine the current relevance of the Native Code Sarawak to meet the rising expectation of the stakeholders at today's digitalization and globalization era. The study to transform the Native Code Sarawak was commissioned by the state government in January 2020. It was originally planned to be only a 9-month study. Unfortunately, it was not completed as scheduled in October 2020. The delay was inevitable and the main due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The consultant which was appointed to undertake the study had submitted their final report in March this year. The outcome and recommendation therein will soon be presented to the State Cabinet for consideration and approval. One of the main recommendations to transform the Native Code is to repeal the current Native Codes Ordinance 1992 and the Native Codes Rules 1993 with a new Native Code Ordinance. We anticipate that this new bill would be tabled at the DUN or Dewan Undangan Negeri at the next DUN sitting. The proposed transformation of Native Code Sarawak would commence in earnest only after the new Native Codes Ordinance had been passed. Tuan Speaker, in respect of Native courtroom upgraded under the purview of Native Code Sarawak, the government have upgraded 21 courtrooms in various districts and sub-districts since 2015 with a total cost of 3.2 million. For this year, 2022, it is proposed to implement the upgrading of 3 native courtrooms at Pejabat Darah Lingga, Pejabat Darah Daro, and Pejabat Darah Kecil Medamin. This is being implemented by the State Development Office. Tuan Speaker, the Office of the Chief Registrar has been organizing a series of capacity building programs involving training, workshops, seminars, and briefing to the Native Codes presiding officers and officials since 2014. Since then, a total of 6,013 persons had attended this program, incurring a cost of 3.01 million. For this year, 2022, 11 more programs have been planned to be carried out for the court presiding officers and officials, which also includes community leaders and headmen throughout Sarawak. Now I will touch on matters relating to Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak. Let me begin with a quote, a popular Malay idiom. Quote, biar mati anak, biar mati anak, jangan mati adat. Unquote. This idiom is an extreme social cultural expression of a Malay on the importance of adat, which compares the importance of adat with the importance of children. Today, this saying is not only applicable to the Malay communities, but extends far beyond the communities. It falls on the shoulder of Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak and other native communities of Sarawak to preserve, protect, promote, and promulgate the adat of the natives. Adats are very important to the native of Sarawak in respect of, among other things, the identity, right, privileges, cultural, heritage, and sense of belonging to this land. Ibu Pertiwiku, tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Nevertheless, adat are equally important to the regulation of social, economic, and political relations or affair governance rights and obligation in most native communities in Sarawak. There are many social, economic, and political relation rights and obligations in the native communities which are not regulated by the state law. These matters are peculiar or unique to the native communities and specifically regulated by adat. For example, it is not a criminal offence or civil wrong under any state or federal law for an independent family to allow more than 30 days to elapse between two cooking on the family earthenware or dapur tanah. However, it is an offence to the Iban community. This adat is known as celap dapur and codified under Section 21 of Adat Iban 1993. Similarly, the right over natural resources, hunting, gathering, funeral and bereavement, and many other matters are only regulated adat. According to some native languages or dialect, the term adat have various meaning and purposes. Adat may be categorized into two main categories, namely the adat which are legal rules and the adat which are social rules. And as far as the native judicial or native legal system is concerned, the adat which are legal rules or native laws and the accompanying ceremonies or rituals or istiadat are the main responsibility falling within the rules and function of the Majlis. The main function of the Majlis is to advise the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri and Majlis Mesyuarat Kedua Negeri on all matters relating to adat of the native of Sarawak. In addition, the Majlis also advises any person when any matters relating to adat is referred to the Majlis. The important functions are preservation, protection, promotion, and propagation of adat. At the moment, the adat, which are social rules, are outside the rules and function of the Majlis. These adat are not binding and enforceable in any code of law and do not fall within the scope and jurisdiction of native judiciary or native legal system. However, these adat are still very important for social upbringing, social engineering, and socio-cultural relation in terms of good conduct and behavior in the native communities. The adat which are legal rules or native law are those which are law proper. And adat which are law proper enforces legal obligation which is binding and enforceable in any native person who is subject to the personal law of the native community to which he or she belongs. Any act or omission which amount to a breach of non-compliance of any such adat shall render the offender to be liable for penalty or punishment. This distinguishes those adat which has legal rules and law proper from which are social rules. For example, the Iban Adat Celap Dapur is a legal rules and a law proper. This adat makes it mandatory for every primary and longhouse to cook or light the fire in the cooking hearth or dapur tanah at least once a month. Failure to do so shall render the offender to be fined in order to provide items for spiritual ritual or genselan kojakuiban. The adat which are social rules are not law proper as such. For example, social values, ethics, etiquettes, manners, courtesy, and protocol, to name but a few, are social rules. They create social and moral obligation but do not have any binding and legal force and therefore not enforceable in any code of law. Any breach of non-compliance of such social rules, also called adat in some native languages, shall not be subject to any penalty or punishment. It is a social and moral wrong, and the violator may be regarded as recalcitrant or a poor upbringing, tidak beradat. For example, the adat of some native communities which prohibit the calling of parents-in-laws by name is a social rule. The rule regulates financial pity relating to the ministerium and the social etiquette. Adat in general, both legal and social rules, are social cultural expression of law, rules, norms, values, and practices, to name but a few of the native of Sarawak. They act as a social cohesion that bind members of every community together as a social group. Adat has also played a very influential and successful role in social engineering and the government and governance of native communities. Without the adat, the native homogeneous communities could disintegrate and chaos could prevail and become very common in the communities. Thus, the main role of the adat is the maintenance of peace, harmony, unity, and well-being of every community, which include rights, obligation, and the morality of members of the native communities. Under such circumstances, adat can be described as a tool for the regulation of social control, social contact, a right, obligation, and obligation in the native communities, means to achieve an end. Since the time of native ancestors began to live in a social group, they have been attempting to create an ideal society. They envisage that members of the society will live in peace, harmony, unity, and socially and spiritually balanced life. Everybody conducts their social relations and spiritual activities according to the proper conduct and behavior. Generally, most native communities believe that proper conduct and behavior could ensure good social relationship between humans themselves, while some communities believe that proper conduct and behavior could also bring good spiritual relationship between humans and gods. These communities believe that every action or mission of a human being could bring impact to the spiritual equilibrium. Thus, humans must conduct their behavior activities in order to maintain the social and spiritual equilibrium. Any bad behavior could upset the equilibrium, and the offender personally or the community as a whole could be punished by spiritual wrath. Therefore, bad conduct and behavior must be dealt with, condemned, or corrected immediately according to the adat to ensure the social and spiritual well-being of the community remain intact. The well-being of the community as a whole is paramount and overrides that of the individuals. It is quite common to notice that some adat and spirituality are intertwined, and spirituality plays a very important role in the enforcement of adat. There are some adat which are believed to be derived from divine law, and some are spiritual sanctions or provisions or taboos. The punishment for any breach of such adat, pantang larang or penti pemali ini ban, is spiritual punishment. This is where spirituality plays an intrinsic part of the enforcement, which entails some element of fear to compel compliance or obedience. The innovation of spiritual sanction or provision could be very important for the enforcement of adat in the past because there was no temporal system for enforcement of adat. However, most of these adat are now viewed as not only in the line of their religious teaching or belief by certain section of the native community, nevertheless do not dismiss the adat right away. Look at and study the adat through a secular or comparative law perspective first. There might be wisdom underlying this adat. For example, an adat of certain native communities which furnishes the house owner for any body injury suffered by any visitor who tripped over or fell through the floor as a result of stepping on rotten plank on the veranda or right belonging to the owner. This adat is viewed as not in line of their religious teaching or belief, because in addition to the monetary fine, the owner will be ordered to provide some item for spiritual ritual or gunsalan to appease the spirit. If the adat is viewed from the secular or comparative law perspective, it imposes a duty of care on the owner of any visitor to his premises. The owner has a legal duty to ensure the safety of any visitor in the house or passing through the veranda, ruai. There is wisdom or rationale underlying this adat, which is similar to the rationale underlying the English law of Occupiers Liability Act 1957, which imposes a duty of care on the owner of the premises to ensure the safety of any lawful visitor to the premises. As such, it is quite safe to conclude that some native communities have been having adat of quite a law similar to some of the English law taught for centuries. Adat always be an essential instrument for the regulation of social, economic, and political relations and the governance of the native communities, as long as they are living in homogeneous community setting and where the state agencies or authorities are not immediately available to assist in the governance of the community. The complex social, economic, and political relations of the communities still need to be regulated by adat, which are the cardinal principle of the supreme law of the communities. In this case, the adat become a part of how the native manage themselves. It is also a part of how we are responsible to ourselves, to each other, and to our Sarawak community. And view the importance of adat in the governance of the native community, the Sarawak government will always give its unwavering support to native communities in any effort to preserve, protect, promote, and promulgate the adat. The Sarawak government has never failed to or neglected its duty it owes to the native community. It does not mean the other social or economic or political matters are subservient to the preservation, protection, promote, and promulgation of the adat. All social, economic, and political matters of the native communities are equally important to the Sarawak government. The importance of adat for the governance of native communities and legal system and native legal system can be optimized by an iban doctrine of berjalai bertungkat kadat tinduk berpenggal ke pengingat. In English, the doctrine says, may be as translated as, I shall abide by law in everything I do, even in my sleep I shall remember. It simply meant that any act or omission ought to be conducted according to adat, which is quite similar to the principle of the rule of law. This doctrine imposes a social and moral duty of every person to conduct his or her act or omission according to the law or rules and norms as practiced and accepted by the community. Tuan Speaker, Adat was once respected and looked as unquestionable wisdom. However, today the importance of Adat is paled in its significance. The social and economic political development during the last 40 years or so has brought about tremendous progress and modernization to the country and its people. Progress and modernity have brought about social and cultural changes to native communities, and to a certain extent diminishes the relevance of some Adat and traditions. First, modern technology such as social media takes center stage on our everyday life and bring about, among other things, new knowledge, new meaning of life, and the paradigm shifting the ways of thinking. These factors challenge and question the relevance of Adat as ancient law in modern society. Secondly, the rural-urban migration among many natives pushes Adat and tradition to the periphery of their new socio-economic culture. Many natives who have migrated from their traditional rural resettlement or born in urban centers and live among the heterogeneous community are no longer practicing their Adat and tradition. Thirdly, some of the teaching of the new religion conflicts with Adat, and Adat seem to be losing ground. In view of the challenges, some of the Adat are diminishing in relevance and some are totally irrelevant to some native communities. These Adat are at the crossroads of extinction and survival. The choice is between extinction and evolution. The better choice may be evolution. To translate or resurrect this Adat, perhaps the Adat need interpretation and adjustment to adapt to modernity and the flux of social economic changes. So the message behind the millennium of mati anak, biar mati anak, jangan mati adat, should be an inspiration to summon the pride and spirit of the younger generation of native to help in the survival and the propagation of Adat. This does depend on this generation. Without them, the Adat would disappear. Even if the children multiply by leaps and bounds, but if none is interested in Adat, Adat would gradually dismiss and disappear. The Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak is duty-bound to get the younger generation to be interested in Adat, beside the children of today, their children, the grandchildren, and the last bus station and the future hope for survival of Adat. Tuan Speaker, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak was established an office in 1972. The purpose was to preserve, codify, promote Adat of the native of Sarawak. In 1974, the Majlis was established as a unit under the then Jabatan Ketua Menteri. With passing the Majlis of Adat Istiadat Sarawak Ordinance 1977, on the 1st April 1977, the Majlis was formally established as unit under the then Jabatan Ketua Menteri. After 50 years of its establishment, the Majlis is now embarking on the corporatization of the Majlis. The premier aim is to upgrade the Majlis and to establish the institution of research and the learning of Adat. This would allow the Majlis to conduct research, organize teaching, and provide accreditation in Adat. The teaching and accreditation would provide qualification and competency for those who aspire to serve as judges and practitioners in the native courts of Sarawak. To build up the capacity and competency of the institute, the Majlis may organize research and teaching of Adat by itself or in collaboration with local or foreign institutions or bodies. At the moment, the work on corporatization is still in its preliminary stage. Until the corporatization is fully materialized, the Majlis would remain as a unit under Jabatan Premier Sarawak. Tuan Speaker, now may I now inform this August House on the activities and achievement of Majlis Adat Istiadat. Since its establishment in 1972, the Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak has codified 7 adat, namely Adat Iban 1993, Adat Badayuh 1994, Adat Kayan Kenyah 1994, Adat Bisaya 2004, Adat Lun Bawang 2004, Adat Kelabit 2008, and Adat Penang 2011. Another 5 adat are going through the drafting and vetting processes. They are Adat Melanau, Adat Brawan, Adat Kajang, Adat Baketan, and Adat Likiput. In its effort in the preservation and promotion of adat as a contribution to the pool of knowledge in adat, Majlis Istiadat Sarawak has established 23 books in the year 2020. The draft were made before that year. More books on adat and traditional knowledge were published in the near future. Since 2021, the Majlis have been conducting research and review of 4 codified adat. The task is gigantic for the research section. There are 4 teams, namely Badayuh, Iban, Melanau, and Orang Ulu. Each team consists of only 3 members of staff. With regard to the research and review of the adat, the Majlis Adat Sarawak has conducted 15 workshops and seminars in 2021. This year, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak has conducted 9 workshops and seminars. The Majlis anticipates to organize more workshops and seminars this year. One of the main objectives of the workshop and seminars is to assist the newly appointed Ketua Masyarakat and Ketua Kaum to enhance their knowledge and competency in adat. At the same time, the workshops and seminars would serve as venues for interviews and collection of data from some participants for the research and review of the codified adat. Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak is involved in community program organized by other agencies such as Ranau Pembangunan Sosial, program memperkasakan community, community policing program, and CCT Smart Law program. Under this program, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak is assigned to brief the participants on the process and the procedure of the native marriage registration in Sarawak. Since 2020, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak has participated in 10 programs and would participate in another 24 proposed programs for the remaining part of 2022. In addition to the outreach and community program, Majlis Adat Istiadat Sarawak would be providing facilitators for adat training to assess the leadership institute in the effective execution of legal and statutory function for the resident and district officers training program. Tuan Speaker, amendment to the Majlis Adat Istiadat Ordinance 1997 and the Native Custom Declaration Ordinance 1996. The drafting of amendment to the Majlis Adat Istiadat Ordinance 1997 and the Native Custom Declaration Ordinance 1996 is in progress, and hopefully the amendment could be tabled in the next Dewan Undangan Negeri meeting. The amendments are necessary to keep in tandem with the social development and social changes that have taken place since 1977 and the restructuring of the native codes of Sarawak. Tuan Speaker, seterusnya saya ingin memberi penjelasan bagi isu-isu yang dibangkitkan oleh ahli-ahli yang berhormat bagi N43 Daro, N66 Murum, N29 Peting Baru, N25 Semunjan, N23 Bukit Semunjak dalam sisi perbahasan ucapan rasmi sidang Dewan Undangan Negeri ke-19 oleh Tuan Yang Terutama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak 17 Mei 2022. Bagi isu yang dibangkit oleh ahli yang berhormat bagi N43 Daro dan ahli yang berhormat bagi N66 Wurum mengenai cadangan untuk menaik taraf daerah Daro dan Belaga sebagai sebuah pentadbiran bahagian yang baru dan kawasan Tubau sebagai pusat pentadbiran daerah kecil baru di Belaga. Kerajaan ambil maklum terhadap syur berkenaan. Setakat ini, kerajaan belum mempunyai cadangan untuk menaik taraf kawasan-kawasan tersebut. Justru itu, penyampaian perkhidmatan kerajaan bagi masyarakat di kawasan berkenaan akan terus ditadbir urus oleh pentadbiran bahagian dan daerah kecil yang sedia ada masing-masing. Kerajaan akan terus komited untuk memantapkan jentera perkhidmatan di pentadbiran di setiap bahagian, daerah dan daerah kecil, seluruh negeri Sarawak termasuk di bahagian muka dan kapit bagi memastikan penyampaian perkhidmatan kepada masyarakat dapat dilaksanakan secara efektif dan berkesan. Bagi isu yang dibangkit dan mengenai kompleks pentadbiran bertingkat di daerah Daro, pada masa sekarang tiada perancangan untuk membina sebuah kompleks pentadbiran bertingkat di daerah Daro. Namun begitu, kerajaan akan terus menyediakan peruntukan bagi menyelenggara pejabat dan kuartus di setiap bahagian, daerah dan daerah kecil bagi memastikan kondisi pejabat dan tempat kediaman kaki tangan awam berada di tahap yang terbaik. Pada masa yang sama juga, saya ingin menggesa kerajaan persekutuan untuk menyediakan keperluan pejabat bagi agensi-agensi persekutuan terutamanya sekali di pentadbiran daerah Daro. Manakala untuk makluman ahli yang berhormat N29 bagi Beting Maru, pembinaan bangunan baru pejabat daerah pusat telah bermula pada Mac 2022 dan dijangka akan siap pada bulan Januari 2024. Skop projek bagi bangunan baru tersebut adalah merangkumi pejabat pentadbiran, pejabat perbendaharaan kecil, native court room, bilik ketua masyarakat, kemudahan awam seperti bilik mesyuarat, galeri serbaguna, tandas dan surau. Bagi isu yang dibangkitkan oleh ahli berhormat N25 bagi Semunjan, cadangan pembinaan kuartus dan pejabat pentadbiran baru yang bersepadu di Semunjan akan dikemukakan untuk dipertimbangkan sebagai projek dalam kajian separuh penggal rancangan ke-12. Bagi tahun 2022, sejumlah 300,000 peruntukan disediakan untuk tujuan penyelenggaraan bangunan-bangunan kediaman di daerah Semunjan dan 100,000 bagi tujuan grass cutting, drain clearing dan tree trimming. Bagi soalan yang dibangkit oleh ahli berhormat bagi Bukit N23 Bukit Semuja berkaitan dengan Interpretation Amendment Ordinance 2022 yang telah diluluskan oleh Dewan Undangan Negeri, kerajaan masih dalam proses untuk menentukan kriteria dan mekanisme yang sesuai bagi tujuan ini. Berkaitan dengan adanya beberapa permohonan untuk dikenali sebagai Bumi Putera Sarawak yang dibuat pada tahun 2016 yang belum diluluskan, ianya disebabkan pelaksanaan dasar pembekuan permohonan oleh kerajaan mulai tahun 2005 dan hanya dibuka semula pada tahun 2018. Untuk makluman ahli berhormat bagi pedungan, kerajaan sedang Sarawak sedang berusaha melakukan transformasi bagi memperkasakan proses kerja yang sedia ada dan akan sentiasa mengkaji setiap proses kerja yang dipohon bagi pekerja asing agar ianya relevan dengan keadaan semasa, serta juga memastikan pekerja asing yang bekerja di Sarawak ada potensi tinggi dan berkualiti. Justru dalam masa yang sama, mengambil kira keutamaan terhadap pekerja tempatan dan menjaga kepentingan rakyat Sarawak. Before I concluding my winding up speech, I wish to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to Tuan Speaker for your patience and your tactful and excellent handling of the proceeding of this sitting to ensure a high standard of decorum. These very remarkable achievements in this 19th Dewan session is a testimony that Sarawak is always a model state and continue to be the forefront of all fields, including the most important institution, the Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak. I also wish to extend my appreciation and thanks to the Honorable State Secretary, officers from various state and the federal ministries, and especially officers which are under my portfolio and agencies for their commitment and dedication in providing the necessary input and support for the smooth proceeding of this August House. I take the opportunity to thank the media for their professional coverage of the current sitting. Since we are still in Hari Raya Aidilfitri, I wish to convey my Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri Maaf Zahir dan Batin to all members of this August House. Finally, to all members of this August House who will be celebrating Gawai 2022 soon. Selamat Hari Gawai, Gayu Guru Granyamai Lantang Senangon Menua. And to those who will be going back to their long houses and villages, I pray for your safety, John, for your safe journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berhormat Datuk John Siki, Menteri di Jabatan Premier, di atas ucapan penggolongan tersebut. Seterusnya, kita memanggil dengan penuh hormatnya Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Lee Kim Shin, Menteri Pengangkutan, untuk menyampaikan ucapan penggolongan. Silakan.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Datuk Ahmad Speaker. Selamat petang, salam sejahtera, salam Sarawak Ibu Pertiwiku dan salam Sarawakku sayang. Tan Sri Datuk Ahmad Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier for leading Gabungan Parti Sarawak (GPS) to a landslide victory, where GPS won 76 out of the 82 electoral seats contested in the recently concluded 12th Sarawak election, which was held on 18 December 2021. I would also like to congratulate all the ahli yang berhormat from GPS who have won the seats either as incumbents or first-time candidates. Further, I would like to congratulate those ahli yang berhormat from GPS who have either been reappointed or appointed as ministers and as Deputy Premier, as ministers and Deputy Ministers in the Sarawak Cabinet. The resounding victory is indeed a manifestation from the rakyat, great confidence and trust for GPS government to continue to lead and develop Sarawak in the years ahead. The confidence of the rakyat comes not without any reasons. Our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier is sincere, far-sighted, creative, innovative and caring leader. He has a clear vision and well-crafted plan to further develop Sarawak to greater heights for the benefit of the rakyat. All his ideas, plans, strategies and initiatives are well encapsulated in the post-COVID-19 Development Strategy 2030, or in short, PCDS 2030. Not only it is a well-thought plans, strategies, and initiatives, but the Rakyat have started to understand, appreciate, and see clearly the many ideas and promises of the Yang Amat Berhormat Premier that have been translated into reality. Unlike the opposition members who are merely good at making rhetoric statements, in fact, certain opposition members were only good at making promises, but when they were in the PH government for 22 months, none of the promises made were fulfilled. I would like to highlight that amongst the major achievements of Yang Amat Berhormat Premier are the implementation of digital economy, recognition of Sarawak rights under MS63, the initiation and development of hydrogen economy, and a one-off financial provision under Bantuan Khas Sarawak Sayang, or also known as BKSS. In a nutshell, he fights for our rights and looks for innovative ways to increase our revenue. He dares to enter new uncharted territory, and most importantly, he cares for the interests and well-being of the Rakyat by giving financial assistance when the Rakyat were faced with hardships due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like also to thank the GPS machinery supporters and voters in N75-19, my constituency, that helped me to win the seat and also gain a big majority of 7,591 votes. Winning a seat with bigger majority this time around means the Rakyat in my constituency has greater expectations of me. I pledge to continue my utmost best and ability to serve the Rakyat in my kawasan. Political stability and unity, the foundation for Sarawak economic growth and development. Tan Sri Data Mas Speaker, we have witnessed how political instability at the federal government has adversely affected the country's economy and development. This has also created unhappiness and caused hardship to the Rakyat. Never in the history of our country since the formation of Malaysia in 1963 have we experienced such political turmoil and crisis where there was a change of 3 prime ministers within a period of 3 years since 2018. We, the people of Sarawak, certainly do not want this to happen to our beloved Sarawak. We must sayang Sarawak and ngintu Sarawak. Therefore, it is important for us to be united and to focus our mind, time, and resources to plan and accelerate the economic growth and development of Sarawak. This is the essence of Sarawak spirit of belonging that will bring the much desired change to the livelihood of the Rakyat. With all these tumultuous events, we must acknowledge that political stability and unity is the foundation for us to further develop Sarawak based on the GPS government comprehensive plan that is post-COVID-19 development strategy 2030. And this can only be realized through GPS government and not any party from outside Sarawak. In a nutshell, only GPS government can take care of Sarawak. Status of transport sector at the global, regional, and national level. Tan Sri Dato' Mas Speaker, allow me to share briefly on the current challenges affecting the transport sector at the global and regional level. The COVID-19 pandemic in the last 2 years since end of year 2019 has severely affected the transport industry by hindering the freedom of movement and hence causing transport revenues to drop significantly. Consequently, some transport companies struggle to keep afloat. The crisis which resulted from the widespread of COVID-19 is felt significantly in public transport and commercial aviation of the transport sector. In addition, the closure of regional and country border due to COVID-19 has greatly impacted the delivery of goods and services, which in turn brought adverse effects to the economic sectors. As the world emerges from the COVID-19 pandemic, the World Bank Group raised the urgent need to reduce the climate impact of transport, or in other words, to decarbonize transport by supporting countries to move towards a green, resilient, and inclusive mobility. This is in line with Sarawak government's focus on green energy, namely hydrogen, solar energy, and hydropower to tackle climate change. The first step is to know the baseline for greenhouse gas emissions for all sectors, including transport. At a regional level, the Asian Development Bank, under its Strategy 2030, stated that more than 30% of the USD 1.7 trillion investment per annum is required to develop Asia into a comprehensive, integrated transport system where priority is to be given to public transports, walkways, cycle paths, and efficient traffic management system. Based on the report entitled The Malaysian Economy in Figures, published in year 2021 by Economic Planning Unit Malaysia, the contribution of the transport, storage, and communication subsector to the national gross domestic product has decreased from 138 billion in 2019, or prior to the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, to 131.3 billion in 2020. However, it is forecasted to rebound to 137.5 billion in 2021. As indicated in the facts and figures of Sarawak 2021, published by Economic Planning Unit Sarawak, the services sector, of which transport is one of the components, has contributed 35.8% to the Sarawak economy in 2019 and increased to 26.2% in 2020. Realizing the aspiration of the transport sector under the post-COVID-19 development strategy PCDS 2030 and Sarawak 12 Malaysia Plan. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, the Sarawak government under the leadership of Yang Amat Berhormat Premier has formulated a comprehensive development plan known as the Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy PCDS 2030. This plan will enable Sarawak to achieve a thriving society driven by data and innovation where everyone will enjoy economic prosperity, social inclusivity, and sustainable development. The development of the 6 economic sectors, namely manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, forestry, mining, and services, are supported by 7 key enablers which include transport sector. Being one of the key enablers, the transport sector has a clear aspiration under PCDS 2030, which is an integrated transport system that is safe, reliable, affordable, energy efficient, and increased travel choice in Sarawak. The implementation of Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy 2030, a long-term development plan, is being carried out in phases starting with the Sarawak 12 Malaysia Plan, commencing 2021 until 2025. Under the Sarawak 12 Malaysia Plan, an allocation of 76.34 billion was approved for the implementation of 16 transport-related projects. I wish to inform this August House that the progress of the various approved projects under my ministry is now at different stages of planning and implementation based on the approved action and implementation plan, also known as AIP, under PCDS 2030. My ministry will continue to engage and coordinate with the relevant agencies and industry players to ensure the timely delivery of the projects to benefit the rakyat. Strengthening relationship between Ministry of Transport Malaysia and Ministry of Transport Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, the Ministry of Transport Sarawak was established on the 22nd August 2019 with a clear scope of work as described in the Sarawak Gazette dated 21st January 2022 on the Sarawak Ministerial Portfolio. As set out in Item 10, federally in the 9th Schedule of the Federal Constitution, transport is under the purview of the federal government. Hence, all related federal transport agencies are reporting to the Ministry of Transport Malaysia. However, the role of my ministry is as a watching brief for all related federal transport agencies covering land and logistics, maritime and riverine and aviation industry. For this purpose, my ministry has established a good rapport with the Ministry of Transport Malaysia to ensure the Transportation Development Plan, policy, programs, and projects of the Ministry of Transport Malaysia will meet the requirement, needs, and peculiarity of Sarawak. In this connection, we have organized a special visit for Yang Berhormat Minister for Transport Malaysia and his management team to visit Sarawak from 3rd to 4th December 2021 for them to familiarize themselves with the issues affecting the transport sector in Sarawak. Consequently, I have led a delegation from my ministry to make a return visit to meet with the Honourable Minister and his senior management team on the 18th January 2022. I would like to update this August House following the two visits. Officers from my ministry and the Ministry of Transport Malaysia have started regular engagement and deliberation on ways to develop the transport sector in Sarawak, which include the upgrading of manned airports and stall ports, expansion of air connectivity, registration of vessels below 15 tons, and assistance to land transport. Roles of Ministry of Transport Sarawak in SDMC to address COVID-19 pandemic, including developing and executing SOP. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, the onslaught of COVID-19, which started in early 2020, and the imposition of the Movement Control Order and compliance to the standard operating procedures have caused hardships to the people and major disruption to the supply chain in the transport industry. Therefore, the challenges at that time were to strike the balance between protecting the lives of the people from COVID-19 virus transmission and concurrently allow the businesses to continue operating within the controlled environment through the strict impositions of the SOP. In the context of Sarawak, we are indeed fortunate to have Yang Amat Berhormat Premier, who is very concerned and care about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to the people and businesses. The Sarawak government, under his leadership, has given out various subsidies and financial assistance, such as Bantuan Khas Sarawak Sayang BKSS, to help the rakyat during this unprecedented and challenging period. Yang Amat Berhormat Premier has also established the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee to coordinate and make sure policies and actions are formulated and executed to curtail the spread of COVID-19 in Sarawak. These include the preparation and execution of various SOP in the Sarawak transport industry. All these initiatives have produced effective results to fight against COVID-19 pandemic, as exemplified through the reduced number of positive and fatal cases, the reopening of businesses, uplifting of SOPs, and the reopening of borders between countries. We are now in the endemic stage. In this regard, I would like to thank all stakeholders, especially from the relevant federal and Sarawak government transport agencies and the transport industry players who were very helpful and participated in the formulation and execution of the transport SOPs to contain the transmission of COVID-19 in Sarawak. Despite the lifting of SOPs in the transport industry, the fight against COVID-19 is still ongoing, and therefore the people must stay vigilant and maintain their personal hygiene. Hence, let us all continue to work together to minimize the spread of COVID-19 in Sarawak, particularly in the transport industry. Performance of Land Transport Division. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, let me now update this August House on the progress and achievements of various major initiatives implemented by my ministry to develop the transport industry in Sarawak. I shall start with the performance of the Land and Logistics Division of my ministry. Performance of RM1 flat rate bus fare program. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, the RM1 flat rate bus fare subsidy program was implemented by my ministry starting on the 4th of May 2020. The primary aim of this program is to help the rakyat to ease their financial burden, especially those in the B40 and M40 groups who were badly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and to revive the bus services which are in dire straits. By doing so, we will encourage modal shift from commuting private vehicles to public transport, and concomitantly, this can help to ease the traffic congestions within major cities and towns in Sarawak. This program started with 12 bus companies, operating on 23 routes in Kuching, Cebu, and Miri. Now, the number of routes has increased to 56 routes, covering Kuching, Samarahan, Cebu, Srike, Miri, and Bintulu. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, I am pleased to inform this August House that on the 12th of May 2022, this program was launched in Bintulu to reactivate stage bus services in Bintulu town. This was made possible with the cooperation of the local Ali Yang Berhormat and the support from the bus company. Most importantly, this is a testimony that the Sarawak government, through my ministry, is tirelessly working towards improving and expanding stage bus transport network in Sarawak. Since the start of this program, it continues to receive encouraging response from the public. The cumulative number of ridership of stage buses in Sarawak from May 2020 until February 2022 is 4.5 million. My ministry will continue to improve the stage bus services by introducing new initiatives such as to conduct survey on travel behavior and usage of bus services, develop bus infrastructure and facilities which include footpath and greenery, shaded trees, safe and comfortable bus stops and facilities for persons with disabilities. My ministry will also work together with the relevant agencies on the development of an integrated public transport system involving transport tracking and monitoring and convenient payment system. Performance of smart traffic lights. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, for the information of this August House, my ministry, together with Sarawak Multimedia Authority, the Public Works Department, and local councils, are implementing smart traffic light throughout Sarawak with the objective to improve mobility, safety, and enhance user experience in transport services. Currently, there are 328 traffic lights junctions in Sarawak, consisting 147 in Kuching, 41 in Cebu, 44 in Bintulu, 62 in Miri, 7 in Limbang, 5 in Samarahan, 10 in Srike, 3 in Betong, 3 in Syrian, 2 in Sri Aman, 1 in Kapit, 1 in Muka, and 1 in Kenawit. Of these, 98 or 30% are smart traffic light junctions, comprising 66 in Kuching, 7 in Cebu, 4 in Bintulu, 18 in Miri, 2 in Kenawit, and 1 in Sri Aman have been upgraded and interlinked with SCATS or Sydney Coordinated Adaptive Traffic System and eventually linked to the Sarawak Command Center. The implementation of smart traffic light in Sarawak has brought in many benefits such as reduction in traffic congestions, fewer accidents, greater productivity, lower transport operation costs, and lower greenhouse gas emissions. With the success of this program, we are planning to increase the number of smart traffic lights from 98 junctions in 2022 to 176 junctions by 2024. By then, the coverage of smart traffic light in Sarawak will increase from 30% to 55%. Performance of free school bus program. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, the primary objective of free school bus program was mooted by Yang Berhormat Premier and launched on 14 July 2020 with the main objective to assist the less fortunate students from B40 group so that they can go to school every day and to lighten the financial burden of the family. I was informed that many students from B40 group skipped classes because they could not afford the school bus fare for daily transport to school. This program has been successfully implemented in Kuching, Miri, Bintulu, and Cebu through Yayasan Sarawak. To date, this program has benefited 5,047 students from 64 schools, comprising 2,170 students from 27 schools in Kuching, 2,604 students from 29 schools in Miri, 68 students from 2 schools in Bintulu, and 205 students from 6 schools in Cebu. Currently, my ministry, together with Yayasan Sarawak and Science, are working together to improve the business model for this program by looking into the possibility to pay the school bus operator directly using cashless payment via S-Pay Global, or previously known as Sarawak Pay. With the success of this program and good response from the B40 group, my ministry and Yayasan Sarawak are planning to expand this program to other divisions in Sarawak. Sarawak Transport Committee and Divisional Transport Committee. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, the Sarawak Public Transport Committee, or SPTC, was established on 21st November 2019 to bring together all stakeholders, both from the government and private sectors, in a single platform to deliberate on transport issues in Sarawak. My ministry will convey to the Federal Ministry of Transport Malaysia on transport issues raised in SPTC that require further action from them. Following the establishment of the Sarawak Public Transport Committee, the Divisional Public Transport Committees, or DPTC, was then set up on 27th August 2020 to address transport issues at the divisional level. Since March 2020, 22 meetings were held at the ministry and divisional level. Based on the feedback received from the Divisional Public Transport Committee, various transport issues were raised, including traffic congestion, lack of parking spaces, lack of bus stop, lack of pedestrian crossing, and lack of facilities for the persons with disabilities, installation of smart traffic lights, proposal for appropriate bus and lorry parking terminals, river cruise operation and facilities, and extensions of the airports. Therefore, it is important for all agencies to recognize that transport plays a significant role in supporting the development of economic sectors at the divisional level. As such, any transport issues identified must be addressed urgently because any delays will adversely affect the growth and socio-economic development of the division. Sarawak Road Safety Council. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, I wish to inform that the Sarawak Road Safety Council has been successfully handed over from the Ministry of Infrastructure and Port Development to the Ministry of Transport Sarawak through the Sarawak Road Safety Council Annual General Meeting held on 29 April 2022. Following this handover, my ministry is planning various initiatives to be implemented under the Road Safety Council, both at the ministry and divisional level, with the main objective to promote road safety, understand traffic rules, and to reduce injuries and fatalities from road accidents. I'm pleased to inform that one of the major initiatives to be carried out by my ministry, together with relevant agencies, is to revive traffic games in Sarawak. The main reason is to inculcate among the school children on good road behavior and understand both road and traffic signs. For this purpose, my ministry will engage with Shell, Petronas, Petros, transport-related companies, and non-government organizations to initiate and co-organize this event throughout Sarawak. In this respect, my ministry will coordinate with local authorities to improve the existing traffic gardens so that we can use the facilities to organize traffic games. As for towns that do not have traffic garden to organize such games, I would like to suggest for the local authorities to identify suitable sites for such purpose. My ministry, together with the Education Department, will also jointly organize debate, essay writing, and current competitions among both secondary and primary school students on topics of interest in urban mobility, road safety, and good driving behavior on the road. Transport Awareness Behavior Change, or TBC program. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, for the information of this August House, my ministry will initiate the implementation of Transport Awareness Behavior Change programs throughout Sarawak. It is a series of transport marketing and management activities to increase the usage of public and active transport that will bring direct effect in the reduction of traffic congestion. The rationale for implementing this program is that people have inadequate or conflicting knowledge of public transport issues and solutions, lack of consensus over high costs of solution on transport projects, and lack of public acceptability on public transport solutions. This program will be implemented by providing training through workshop or lab to stakeholders to engineer a change in their attitude towards the use of urban public transport as an alternative choice, re-engineer strategies on urban public transport plans and policies among stakeholders, building up a focus group through the transfer of knowledge on the sustainable urban transport concepts, plans, implementation practices, and management, and ensure urban public transport projects are implemented sustainably. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, for the information of this August House, my ministry will also engage and collaborate with other ministries, departments, local authorities, local and international non-governmental organizations to carry out this program. This program will also be extended to schools, colleges, and universities as extra co-curriculum activities to discuss ways of solving traffic congestion and promoting the use of public transport. The ultimate result of this program is to create a public transport culture community, whereby public transport is the preferred mode of transport for the community. Commercial lorry vehicles parking facilities, lorry terminal. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, one of the main issues on transport identified by my ministry is the problem of heavy lorries parking in public areas, along roads in housing estates and commercial areas, in unlighted residential areas, and along major roads without the hazard light turned on. Often than not, such action culminated in accidents causing serious injuries, if not death. As Sarawak becomes more developed and economic activities increase, it is only natural that there will be an increase in the movement of lorries and long-haul vehicles, including container trailer. The number of goods vehicles has increased from 72,281 in 2010 to 104,695 in 2020, which is an increase of 44.8%. In order to address this issue, my ministry is liaising with the relevant government agencies, such as the Land and Survey Department, local authorities, resident and district officers, together with the Lorry Association, to identify suitable sites in every division for a lorry parking terminal. To date, my ministry, together with the government agencies, have identified lorry parking terminal in Miri, Bintulu, Sibu, and Samarahan. My ministry, in consultation with the stakeholders, is also studying the best model for the implementation of lorry parking terminals. With the implementation of lorry parking terminals, the issues that I have mentioned earlier will be mitigated. In addition, the proposed terminal will lead to the orderly development of logistic industry to support the growth of economic activities in Sarawak. Non-motorized transport, cycling, and bike lane. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, today there is a growing interest and concern on transport issues in cities and the search for proper solutions towards a better, cleaner environment and urban transport service, such as all countries are trying to achieve.
There is, you want to give way, Minister?
Yeah, okay, right.
Okay, Yang Berhormat Perungan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for giving me the chances to seek clarification. Just now, Honourable Minister were mentioning about this logistic, and of late, I think the cost of logistics has escalated, thereby contributed to the inflation and increasing cost of living, cost of prices of goods, etc. And my question to seek clarification from the Honourable Minister is that what is the plan of the state government to help the logistic companies to lower their cost of transport, cost of logistics, thereby helping to curb inflation and the rising price of goods?
Thank you, Ali Bormat from Padungan. Yes, we have engaged with the Logistic Association and we are studying the matter. Okay, now back to non-motorized transport, cycling, and
Minister. Just give him
We are
one chance.
studying. We are looking into the matter. We have to study together with those in the logistic industry. Okay, Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, I have given my clarification.
Carry on.
I think the honourable member for Padungan should sit down. It's not a point. It's not an argument session here. I have given my clarification, so you sit down and listen carefully. All right? Now, please,
Muhammad Padungan.
please sit down. The floor is mine, and
Minister
please
not
observe
giving
the
way.
standing order, please. Observe the. Please take your seat. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, please ask the honourable member for Padungan to sit down.
Padungan.
And if you behave in that manner, I will not give you any more clarification.
Padungan.
So, right?
Let the minister proceed, please.
Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, one way to achieve sustainable urban transport is through the promotion of non-motorized transport, where walking, cycling, and the use of urban public transport is the norm. In order to promote non-motorized transport in Sarawak, my ministry will propose the development of cycling lanes along secondary and arterial roads and the development of great spaces for walking in collaboration with the relevant agencies. From our observation and engagement with stakeholders, it is noted that many people in Kuching, Sibu, and Miri take up cycling for leisure. In fact, the rising number of cyclists and cycling clubs is testimony that cycling is gaining popular amongst the locals. With the successful implementation of non-motorized transport program, we will be able to reduce traffic congestion, have more green spaces, as well as a cleaner environment and a healthy lifestyle. Now, updates on Kuching Urban Transportation System, Autonomous Rapid Transit, or ART. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, Kuching Urban Transport System, or KUTS, is envisioned to be the backbone of a modern and green public transport system for Greater Kuching, with the main component being the autonomous rapid transit, which will be powered by hydrogen fuel cells and will run on virtual tracks. The ART project comprises two lines, namely Samarahan Line from Rumbus to Hitma Exchange, stretching 28 kilometers and passing through 14 stations, and SIARAN Line from Mile 12 to Isthmus with a length of 24 kilometers, passing through 13 stations. At the moment, 3 locations for the proposed transit-oriented development, or in short, TOD, have been identified and expected to increase in the future, especially upon the completion and operation of the ART. To date, the preliminary work done are completed environmental impact assessment and social heritage assessment studies, as well as pre-engineering works such as soil investigation and surveying works. Currently, the scheme and infrastructure detailed design is in progress, while the tender exercise for the system design and build package contractors are progressing. As for the land acquisition exercise for the Kuching Urban Transportation System project, this will be done in stages commencing in the 3rd quarter of this year. The hydrogen bus trial operations. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, as part of the effort to reduce carbon emissions and decarbonize our public transport system, the Sarawak government launched the trial operations of 3 hydrogen buses in January 2020. The hydrogen bus is part of the pilot project, which includes the construction of an integrated hydrogen production plant and a refilling station in Kuching. Through this effort, Sarawak becomes the first, not only in Malaysia, but in the whole of Southeast Asia, to have hydrogen buses on its street and to have such a station in place. The main objective of having these buses is to create awareness on the application of hydrogen fuel cells and also to gather data to prepare Sarawak's plan to adopt feeder buses utilizing hydrogen fuel cells in the near future. Presently, the hydrogen bus passenger service is offered free of charge to members of the public, which is part of the stage bus services operating in Kuching. Although the buses run on limited route, namely the downtown Heritage Loop and Damai Loop, the hydrogen bus trial operation passenger service recorded an average ridership of about 1,000 passengers per month, with ridership totaling 18,580 passengers from September 2020 to April 2022. Although faced with numerous challenges, especially during the pandemic period, where representatives from the bus manufacturers were unable to be physically present in Kuching to undertake the scheduled maintenance work, the local technicians, working closely with the counterparts in China, have been able to successfully ensure the buses are able to perform at optimum level at all times during the trial operation. This has provided invaluable experience to Sarawak Metro Sdn Bhd teams of local technicians who are now one of a handful of people in Southeast Asia capable to carry out these maintenance and operation works for zero-emission hydrogen-powered public transport buses. Performance of riverine and maritime. Yang Berhormat Datuk Speaker, now I would like to proceed with the performance of maritime and riverine division of my ministry. My ministry, through the Sarawak Rivers Board, is responsible for the safety of navigation, riverine cleanliness, barrage and ship lock management in Sarawak as stipulated under the Sarawak Rivers Ordinance in 1993 and its regulations. Currently, there are 35 gazetted rivers with a total length of 5,000 kilometers, of which 3,500 kilometers or 70% is navigable. In 2021, there are approximately 460,043 passengers and 24,101 tons of cargoes involving through passenger terminals and wharves along these gazetted rivers. My ministry will continue to improve these terminals and facilities for the safety and security of the users. My ministry is also responsible, through Sarawak Rivers Board, to collect various types of riverine fees, including riverine transport fees, from the usage of rivers and its facilities. In the year 2020 and 2021, the Sarawak Rivers Board has collected 15.8 million ringgit riverine fees from the users, including passengers and cargo boats. The fees collected are being used for upgrading and management of riverine facilities for the convenience, safety, and security of river users. Another important function of my ministry is the installation of aids to navigation, or in short, ATONs, which consists of various types of navigation buoys, light beacons, transits, bridge lightings, and signages for the safety of vessels plying the rivers and specified water bodies for the prevention of collision. To date, Sarawak Rivers Board has installed 312 numbers of aids to navigation in the rivers and 5 units of yellow marker buoys for the purpose to demarcate a no-entry zone in the specified water bodies. Specifically, my ministry, through Sarawak Rivers Board, in collaboration with relevant agencies, has installed aids to navigation in Batang Air and Bakun hydroelectric power dams for the safety of local communities, and in Tasik Biru, Baut, on 1st March 2022 for the safety of tourists. This initiative will continue to be carried out in other specified water bodies. Safety of navigation of vessels along the rivers, which are being used heavily by both the local settlement and commercial vessels, will continue to be our priority. To date, my ministry, through Sarawak Rivers Board, has salvaged and removed a total of 193 shipwrecks in the rivers within Sarawak since year 2001. For those shipwrecks that cannot be removed, my ministry has installed hazard markers to notify river users of the impending dangers. In order to enhance safety in our rivers, my ministry has gazetted 20 anchorage areas for different types of vessels for the purpose of anchoring or midstream bunkering or loading and unloading cargoes. River is life. Therefore, the cleanness of the river must always be protected from pollutants. For this purpose, my ministry, through Sarawak Rivers Board, will continue to engage with all the stakeholders, including the local Ahli Yang Berhormat, local communities, schools, and relevant government agencies, as well as non-governmental organizations, to carry out river cleanliness campaign. This will be done through dialogues and gotong royong, exhibition, seminar, campaign, and river beautification competition. In year 2020 and 2021, my ministry, together with the various agencies, have successfully carried out 29 river cleanliness and beautification campaigns throughout Sarawak. In this campaign, activities such as restocking of fish fries of high-value species, including smar and jelawat, and planting of indigenous trees such as ensurai were carried out. For year 2022, we plan to organize 28 programs for coastal and rural communities involving school children. To improve the safety, functionality, and usage of the existing wells, my ministry, through SRB, has carried out localized dredging for cargo wells. For this, we have completed localized dredging for our wells in Jalan Pasir, Panas in Sri Aman, and at Kuala Baram in Miri. We believe this dredging, more vessels will be able to use these facilities. Kuching Barrage and Ship Lock is a very important infrastructure for the flood mitigation of Kuching City. This year, my ministry, through Sarawak Resort Board, will carry out improvement works to ensure the structural integrity of barrage and ship lock is maintained and the functionalities are improved for the benefit of all stakeholders. One of the main components of barrage and ship lock is the rainfall and water level telemetry stations. These stations, sited along two tributaries of Sungai Sarawak, are connected to the control center at the barrage building to monitor the real-time water level for efficient operation of flood control. This year, my ministry, through Sarawak Rivers Board, will upgrade the existing 24 telemetry stations to improve the efficiency of the operation. Another key function of Sarawak Rivers Board is to ensure compliance of regulation by all river users. Our enforcement team is always on the ground to carry out river patrol, especially during festive seasons and school holidays. For the first quarter of this year, Sarawak Rivers Board has issued 25 compounds to the offenders during their enforcement operations. Performance of Boys and Light Board. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, I would like to inform this August House, the Boys and Light Board, established under the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1960 Sarawak and Merchant Shipping Boys and Lights Regulation 1961, has been handed over to my ministry from the Ministry of Infrastructure and Port Development Sarawak on the 10th of February 2022. The core function of this board are to ensure safe movement of ships into Sarawak waters, conduct hydrographic surveys, provide grants for seamen training, provide and maintain aids to navigation and lighthouses in compliance with International Association of Marine Aids to Navigation and Lighthouses Authorities, that's IALA, and International Hydrography Organization, IHO standard. Currently, there are 165 aids to navigation under the management of this board throughout Sarawak, comprising 7 lighthouses, 50 beacons, 25 transits, and 83 marker buoys. I personally, together with my officers from my ministry and relevant agencies, including Marine Department, have conducted site visits to Tanjung Lobang Lighthouse and Tanjung Baram Lighthouse on 21st March 2022 in Miri Division and to Tanjung Kederong Lighthouse in Bintulu Division on 12 May 2022. Based on my visit, a lot more improvements need to be done to these infrastructures, which have been there for a long time, to ensure these facilities are well maintained for the protection and the safety of seafarers. Most importantly, these facilities must comply to the international standards, since Malaysia was ratified this Convention of Safety of Life at Sea, or SOLAS. I'll continue to visit remaining lighthouses and other aids to navigation before proposing a comprehensive improvement works, plus the costing required for submission to the Ministry of Transport Malaysia and the Sarawak government respectively. Aviation activities. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, now I'd like to inform this August House on the development of aviation industry in Sarawak. Air connectivity is very important to provide accessibility both for passengers and cargoes into Sarawak from abroad and to facilitate mobility within major towns. It is also the key enabler to support the development of the Sarawak economic sectors. Performance of Sarawak aviation industry, both passengers and cargoes. From January 2021 until the first quarter of this year, the total number of aircraft and passenger movement to all Sarawak airports are 93,539 aircraft movement, and 3.56 million passengers. For the same period, a total of 82.3 million kilograms of cargo movement was recorded in all Sarawak airports, including stalled ports. Management of flight frequency and ticket price and usage of aerobridge. Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, flight frequency was greatly reduced since the imposition of movement control in Sarawak. However,
Yang Berhormat Menteri.
clarification again?
Another
Or you want to start another
interruption.
argument? Yeah, all right, okay.
Please ask for clarification, okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. In terms of this transport of goods by flights, air flights, I remember 2-3 years ago, the Premier, Right Honorable Premier, has mentioned that the state government is trying to transport agricultural products from the rural area to Singapore to promote our agro products. So for the same period that you have mentioned, how much of this, what are the tonnage and what are the products that have been transported through flights to Singapore for sale, and what are the returns and the cost incurred for this, the transportation of these agro products, and the returns, the proceeds that you earn from the sale of these products in Singapore?
Minister.
Yeah, Yang Berhormat Dr. Speaker, I do not have the breakdown figures here because the figures that we have is the total figures. Yeah, so I'm not able to give you the exact figures. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Written.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Proceed, please.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Management of flight frequency and ticket price and usage of aerobridge. Yeah. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, flight frequency was greatly reduced since the imposition of movement control order in March 2020 to control the spread of COVID-19 infection in Sarawak. However, with the lifting of border closure due to the improvement of COVID-19 situation in the country, the frequency of flights has gradually increased, but not without issues as has been highlighted in the media. My ministry is monitoring closely the number of flight frequency into and within Sarawak. There must be enough flights to serve the needs of travelers and for the movement of cargoes. To date, the number of approved weekly flights into Sarawak is 619, comprising 33 international flights and 586 domestic flights. My ministry is working closely with the relevant aviation authorities to study the possibility to increase the flight frequency, especially during the festive seasons, and to expand flight coverage to other international destinations within this region. In fact, I personally met and discussed this proposal with the Chief Executive Officer of the airlines, namely AirAsia Berhad, Malindo Air Sdn Berhad, Firefly Sdn Berhad, Malaysia Airlines Berhad, and Maswing Sdn Berhad. My ministry will also make similar arrangements to have discussion with Scoot Tiger Air Private Limited Singapore and Royal Brunei Airlines Sdn Berhad on the same proposal. Recently, there was a public outcry on the high airfares charged by the airlines on the passengers for flights coming into and within Sarawak, especially during the recent festive season. I wish to inform this August House that my ministry is very concerned about this and has conveyed the matter to the Ministry of Transport Malaysia and Malaysian Aviation Commission, PAVCOM, to take immediate action on the matter. In fact, I have also personally brought up the matter directly with the Federal Minister for Transport. Subsequently, remedial action was taken by both the Ministry of Transport Malaysia and PAVCOM to make sure that the price of air ticket is reasonable. Therefore, I would like to thank both the Ministry of Transport Malaysia and PAVCOM for their prompt action and support to resolve this problem. Another issue raised by the public is the frequent rescheduling of flights by the airline. On this matter, my ministry has conveyed our displeasure on this issue to the airlines and requested minimum disruption to the published flight schedule into and within Sarawak, which has caused untold inconveniences to the travelers. My ministry has also informed and requested the Ministry of Transport Malaysia and MAVCOM to take the necessary action on this matter. We care about the safety and convenience of travellers flying into and within Sarawak. We want travellers to have an enjoyable and pleasant experience when coming to Sarawak, which is also part of our strategy to promote Sarawak as the preferred tourism and investment destination in this region. For this reason, I have written and conveyed to the Chief Officer of the airlines during my discussion with them that all airlines flying into and within Sarawak must use Aerobridge for the safety and convenience of all passengers, especially the children, elderly, and persons with special needs. I want to thank the airlines and Malaysia Airport Holding Berhad for their support in using Aerobridge for all flights into and within Sarawak. Upgrading of airport facilities, including stall port. Yang Berhormat, Dr. Speaker, based on the data available, some of the major airports in Sarawak have exceeded their design and build capacity. In this respect, my ministry has engaged with the relevant authorities, namely Malaysia Airport Holdings Berhad, Civil Aviation Authority Malaysia, and Malaysian Aviation Commission on the plan to upgrade and export the existing major airports. I wish to inform that the Minister for Transport Malaysia has personally visited some of the airports in Sarawak, especially Mir Airport, to see for himself the actual situation and the proposed improvement and upgrading works that need to be done. Rural air services. Yang Berhormat, Dr. Speaker. Rural air services are an integral and critical component of air connectivity within Sarawak, linking the rural communities to the major towns and cities in Sarawak. In this regard, my ministry has conveyed to the Ministry of Transport Malaysia and the relevant aviation authorities on the needs to increase flight frequency, flight capacity, and to extend the runway of these rural airports. I wish to inform this August House that arising from our engagement with the Ministry of Transport Malaysia, including with Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, MAVCOM, and Malaysia Airport Berhad, the senior officers have personally visited and inspected some of these airports to look into ways to improve the safety of navigation extension of the runway. Yang Berhormat, Dr. Speaker, Transport Cluster under BIM IAGA. Through the BIM IAGA, all member countries desire to boost trade, tourism, and investment by easing the movement of people, goods, and services across borders, making the best use of common infrastructure, natural resources, and taking advantage of economic complementarity. The spread of COVID-19 since December 2019 has affected economic collaboration and disrupted the air, land, and sea connectivity within the BIM IAGA member countries. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy and enabling sectors, especially transport within BIM IAGA, is profound but differs between member countries in terms of its scale and value. However, since April 2022, all member countries except Negara Brunei Salam have opened their borders. We hope that with the opening of borders, the vibrancy of economic activities and the implementation of programs and projects under BIM IAGA Vision 2025 will regain momentum in the near future. Transportation and Insurance Technical Team under SOSEC Malindo. Yang Berhormat, Dr. Speaker, in the spirit of enhancing bilateral cooperation, it is important to improve relationship and promote trade between neighboring countries, especially involving those inhabitants staying along the border. In the context of Sarawak, we have existing mutual cooperation with our neighbor, West Kalimantan, Indonesia, established through a special platform called SOSEC Malindo since 1985. My ministry, as the leader of Transportation and Insurance Technical Team under the Economics, Trade and Communication Cluster of SOSEC Malindo, has been tasked to hold discussion on transport-related cross-border issues, including movement of public transport, vehicle insurance and logistics between Sarawak and West Kalimantan. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the SOSEC Malindo physical annual meeting could not take place. We hope with the opening of borders between Sarawak and West Kalimantan, the Sosek Malindo fiscal meeting can resume to discuss and facilitate the cross-border movement of goods and people. Report on BKSS for transport sector under Ministry of Transport Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, COVID-19 pandemic has a widespread impact on every sector of the economy, including transport. Being a caring Sarawak government, under the leadership of Yang Amat Berat Premier, a one-off financial assistance under Bantuan Khas Sarawak Sayang, BKSS was launched to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on the livelihood of the people. For this purpose, my ministry identified and disbursed one-off financial assistance under BKSS to selected transport industry players who were greatly impacted financially by COVID-19 pandemic. From the year 2020 until 2022, a sum of 6.16 million was disbursed to 11,648 recipients, comprising e-hailing drivers, driving school instructors, taxi drivers, school bus drivers, licensed van hawkers, and penampang operators. For information of this August House, I would like to convey the feedback from the transport industry recipient of BKSS that they were very grateful to the government of Sarawak, particularly the YAB Premier, who is instrumental and the driving force behind this excellent initiative. Publication of database on Sarawak transport industry. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, being a new ministry, there is an urgent need to have a good database for planning and policy formulation purposes. Hence, my ministry has collected and published the inaugural Sarawak Transport Sector Industry Players Database 2021. This database will be made available to relevant agencies, including the Resident Office. My ministry will continue to update and expand the coverage of database and produce the second edition this year. In this respect, I would like to thank all the agencies who have contributed to the preparation and publication of this transport database. Ministry of Transport Sarawak, Integrity Initiatives and Balanced Scorecard. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, the initiatives to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of my ministry's service delivery is being carried out continuously, including the publication of relevant documents, namely Ministry of Transport Sarawak Strategic Planning, Ministry of Transport Sarawak Organizational Anti-Corruption Plan, or OACP, Ministry of Transport Sarawak Corruption Risk Management Plan, Ministry of Transport Sarawak Balance Scorecard, and Ministry of Transport Sarawak Manual of Instruction for Post-Contract Project Management. My ministry has successfully conducted various courses on effective project management, prudent financial management, and understanding the provision of laws, rules, and regulations on maritime and riverine. All these courses are meant to enhance the knowledge and competency of my ministry and Sarawak Rivers Board officers and staff. Besides courses, my ministry organized program integrity dalam pekerjaan on 15 September 2021 for the officers and staff of both Ministry of Transport Sarawak and Sarawak Rivers Board, and launched MOTS Organizational Anti-Corruption Plan on 31st March 2021. During the session, all officers of Ministry of Transport Sarawak and Sarawak Rivers Board took their integrity pledge. For this reason, I would like to thank the relevant agencies, especially Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, and Unit Integrity and Ombudsman Negeri, Union, for guiding my ministry to prepare the anti-corruption initiatives which are imperative in creating a corruption-free organization. Federal agencies under watching brief. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, I would like to inform this August House that there are 7 federal transport agencies under my ministry watching brief, namely Commercial Vehicle Licensing Board, CVLB, Road Transport Department, JPJ, Puspacom, Marine Department Malaysia, Sarawak Region, Malaysian Aviation Commission, MAVCOM, Civil Aviation Authority Malaysia, CAAM, and Malaysia Airport Holdings, Berhad. My ministry is in regular engagement with these federal transport agencies and is closely monitoring the planning and implementation of their programs and services. This is important to ensure the requirements of Sarawak are fulfilled and the programs and services are completed and delivered on time. Now I would like to move to issues raised by Ali Yang Muhammad on autonomous rapid transit. Yang Muhammad, the other speaker. I would like to respond to the issues on autonomous rapid transit, ART, raised by Ali Yang Muhammad for pending. The idea to modernize urban public transport system in Sarawak started in 2009 when Yang Amat Berhormat Premier was the then Minister for Housing and Urban Development. In fact, he was already thinking ahead of his time on how to improve and modernize the transport system in Sarawak, especially in Kuching City. Therefore, the allegation by Ali Yang Berhormat for pending that it was a political decision since assuming the office of the Yang Amat Berhormat Premier in 2017 to implement the ART is unfounded and baseless. When the Sarawak government decided to implement the Kuching Urban Transportation System project, the word autonomous rapid transit was applied. Let me inform this August House that there are six levels of autonomous driving based on the definition by the Society of Automotive Engineer, SAE, J3016 standard, namely, A, at level 0, there is no automation, meaning that the driver is in complete control of the vehicle at all times. Level 1 is where driver assistance is needed to do all the driving, but with some basic help from the vehicle in some situations such as automatic emergency braking or lane centering. Level 2 is where there is partial automation, where the vehicle can take control of both the vehicle speed and lane position in limited situations. Level 3 is conditional automation, whereby the vehicle is in full control in certain situations, monitors the road and traffic, and will inform the driver when they must take control. Level 4 is where there is high automation and the vehicle can do all driving under nearly all conditions without any driver attention. Level 5, that is the highest level, which is full automation, where the vehicle can drive in all situations without any human intervention. In the context of autonomous rapid transit for Kuching City, we will be operating at level 2, which is partial automation, where vehicles can take control of both the vehicle speed and lane centering. In this regard, we need to correctly understand the meaning and levels of autonomous in the context of rapid transit system. So based on the Society of Automotive Engineers SAE J3016 standard, I wish to reaffirm that there is no downgrading of the autonomous system. We should not be carried away by debating over these trivial matters on the abbreviation as to whether it's autonomous or automated. It is made clear that this ART will have a driver to ensure its smooth operation and safety. I wish to reiterate that the GPS government will only implement major projects after a study has been carried out and the findings suggested that the project should proceed based on the financial viability and technical feasibility. For this reason, I wish to inform that a feasibility study on Kuching urban transport system was carried out in 2017 by Sarawak Economic Development Corporation and completed in 2018. And here, Dr. Ahmad Speaker, I have a stack of all the studies report here. All the reports are here. Yeah? So it's baseless to say that no reports, no study have been carried out. The study was carried out by competent consultants who concluded that an urban public transport system is needed to address Kuching's growing population and the corresponding increase in the number of trips by motor vehicles on the road.
Yang Berhormat Minister.
The demand for a reliable and efficient transport system
Will you
was
give way?
reduced from 7 yeah.
For Pening.
Yeah, let me finish first. I haven't finished. I have not
Okay.
finished. I want to respond to all
Let
the
the
points that
minister
you
finish
raised.
first.
Let me finish first. Okay? Please be patient, sit down, and listen. Okay?
Proceed, Minister.
Of importance to note, the same feasibility study was also identified and recommended that ART stations are based on transport demand for public transport, and the ridership was modeled during the scheme design for the proposed Kuching Urban Transportation System KUTS project. In implementing this project, Sarawak Metro Sdn Bhd engaged with the stakeholders, especially the public. For example, the findings and other important elements of the study on environmental impact assessment, EIA, was made public during EIA public display between August and September 2021, and can also be found on the website of Sarawak Metro Sdn Bhd, Department of Environmental Malaysia, and also linked through national and local newspapers. In the planning and development of a modern transport system, we should make available to the rakyat a multimodal transport system where they will have a choice of using buses and other premium modes of transport, and in this case, the ART. Therefore, the suggestion made by Ali Yang Berhormat for Pening that we abandon the ART project and only rely on the stage bus services show her lack of knowledge and understanding in developing a good and advanced transport system. Don't you want to have a multimodal and modern transport system for Kuching City, where you can travel conveniently either by ART, modern stage bus powered by hydrogen fuel cell or electricity, and even non-motorized vehicles? Or the statement made by Ali Yang Berhormat for Pening on why not we just concentrate on the basic, which is the stage bus services. I wish to inform that it has never been the intention of the Sarawak government to neglect the operation of the stage bus services as one of the modes of transport in Kuching. In fact, what we have done and are still doing is to revive the present struggling stage bus services in Sarawak by introducing the RM1 flat rate bus fare subsidy program. Through this program, we are expecting more and more people to use the bus as the main mode of transport in a city area. To date, the total ridership for stage bus in Kuching since its inception in May 2020 until February 2022 is 1.5 million. At the same time, the revived bus companies advise to gradually modernize their present fleet of buses for the convenience of the passengers. I would also like to inform Ali Yang Berhormat for Pening that the role of my ministry is policy formulation, and project implementation is carried out by the agencies which is under the ministry to ensure clear demarcation of functions and regulations in various government entities. For this reason, the function of the Ministry of Transport is to formulate policies to ensure the orderly development of the transport sector in Sarawak, whereas the implementation of project is executed by the implementing agencies. In respect to ART project, it is implemented by the Sarawak Metro Sdn Bhd, a wholly owned subsidiary of Sarawak Economic Development Corporation, which has a dedicated team of very qualified and competent professionals and specialists who have vast experience in the development of public transport solutions in Malaysia as well as overseas. So I have given a very lengthy explanation and response to the various queries raised by the Ali Yang Berhormat for Pening. So I don't think there is any necessity to any more clarification.
Yang Berhormat.
No.
Yang Berhormat
All right.
Pening. Wait.
Wait.
Yang Berhormat Pening,
I have
Minister.
given a very detailed explanation. All right.
Yang Berhormat Pening.
Yeah, please take it.
Yang Berhormat
All right.
Pening. Could you
All right,
listen to the
I have already
chair?
I have answered all that you have raised. So please take your seat. The floor is mine. Okay. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker.
Yang Berhormat Pening. The minister has given quite
Thank you.
elaborate
Yeah.
and extensive responses.
Yeah. I have.
They are
already-
very clear.
Yeah.
What doubt do you need clarification for?
Yeah. Yeah. Dato'
Would you?
Mas- Dato' Speaker, Yang Berhormat Speaker.
Okay, Minister is not giving way.
The floor is mine. I've given all the clarification.
The Minister has not given way.
Responded to all the queries you have raised. So please sit down. Okay.
Okay.
And
Pening.
digest what I've said
Yang
just
Mohon
now.
Pening,
Okay.
let the
You
Minister
listen carefully.
proceed.
And you get all the answers there. Please take your seat. Dato' Speaker. I'll
Minister, proceed.
Yeah, Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker.
You are out of-
Thank you to Yang Ahmad Speaker and his team. I would like to thank
Yang Berhormat
Dato' Ahmad Speaker
Pending, please sit down.
and Dato'
He will
Deputy
give you the
Speaker.
written
Yeah.
doubt.
I would like to thank
Clarification to your
Dato'
doubt.
Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker and Dato' Deputy Speaker for your wisdom and firmness in making sure that the proceedings in this August House are carried out with proper decorum and dignity. I would also like to thank Dato' Ahmad Sarawak Secretary and officers from the various Sarawak and federal ministries and agencies for their hard work and dedication in preparing and providing input and support to ensure the smooth proceedings of this August House. I would like to put on record my special thanks to the media for the coverage of the proceeding. Before I conclude, Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, I would like to share with this August House 3 pantun. Okay. Dari Gedong pergi ke Limbang, pergi ke seberang mengguna jeti. Rakyat Sarawak janganlah bimbang, janji GPS pasti ditepati. Pergi melancong ke Bandar Miri, singgah sebentar di Bandar Song. Janji GPS, janji sejati, janji pembangkang, janji kosong. Sarawak mansang rakyat sejahtera, impian GPS untuk dilaksana. Pembangkang apa-apa sahaja, sehingga lupa rakyat sengsara. Yang Berhormat Dato' Speaker, for Sarawak to implement all its plans to achieve high-income society by 2030, one of the main critical factors is that there must be continuous political stability and unity among the people. In order to succeed in our continuing pursuits for the restoration of Sarawak rights under the Malaysian Agreement 1963, which have been taken away or eroded, it is imperative for the peoples of Sarawak to be united, work together in unison, and speak with one voice to support our Sarawak GPS government under the leadership of Yang Amat Berhormat Premier. Since we are still in the month of Shawwal, I wish all my Muslim friends and colleagues in this August House Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, Maaf Zahir dan Batin. Gawai is around the corner. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all my Dayak friends and colleagues Selamat Ngintu Ari Gawai Dayak, Gayu Guru Gerai Nyamai Lantang Senan, Nuan Menua, and Selamat Andu Gawai. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berhormat Menteri Pengangkutan. Before we end up today, I would like to just remind ourselves that under Order 33B, if there is any interruption, unless the member or the minister speaking is willing to give way, then only the interruption can be allowed. But in this case, the minister has given what I call a full reply and responses to whatever questions being put forth, and they are sufficient and adequate. I think the minister has it as clear as crystal. So what doubt do you need? If there's any, if there's any, you can write to the minister personally for a written reply. So anyway, that's the order. I'm going to remind all of us for as long as there is a session on this. But anyway, before we conclude, I would like this to say, pokok rumbia khasiatnya tinggi, esok kita bermesyuarat lagi. With that, ahli-ahli yang berhormat, the sitting is now adjourned and the House shall resume its sitting tomorrow at 9 a.m.